Decoded.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Book Decoded.
Always excited to be back.
So today we're diving into our new social life.
Oh, yeah, by Natalie Kerr and Jamie Kurtz.
Right.
I actually just finished this one up.
You know what? I gotta say, I love this one.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's such a relevant topic for so many of us.
I mean, who doesn't want a better social life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even if you think your social life is good.
Right.
Could it be better?
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Always room for improvement.
Yeah. And I think what I thought was so interesting about this particular book is that the authors themselves are social psychologists.
Oh, that's so cool.
Who have kind of had to go through their own
struggles.
social struggles and figure it out.
Yeah, they talk about how, they're experts in this field, but they still experience these challenges. Like Natalie talks about moving and how hard it was to kind of find that village feeling after having kids. And Jamie was like a pro at casual friendships, but found it really hard to take them to that deeper level. So
yeah, I think that makes it even more compelling, right?
Totally.
Because it's like, okay, you're not just reading some textbook by some expert who's like, I've figured it all out.
Right. They've been there.
This is how you should live your life.
It makes it so much more relatable.
It does. It does. And I think it makes you feel like, okay, I can actually trust this advice because they've actually been there and had to figure this out.
Totally. So one of the things that really struck me at the beginning of the book was this point about humans being wired for connection.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually compared it to, they had this study with mice where they isolated these mice. And then when they reunited them, they basically went crazy for social interaction. And it's kind of a weird analogy, but it really it really hit home for me that this isn't just some personality quirk or oh, I'm an extrovert or whatever. It's no, we're actually biologically wired. For this, it's as essential as food or sleep.
Yeah, they talk about all their research that links these strong social ties to better physical health.
Oh, yeah.
Happiness, and even a longer lifespan.
It's crazy.
Actually that important.
I know. It's mind-blowing. So it's not just a nice to have. It's crucial for our well-being.
Yeah.
But here's the catch, right?
Yeah.
Modern life often feels like a giant obstacle course for connection.
It's true. I mean, you think about, we are more isolated than ever.
Constantly on the move.
Yeah, we're glued to our screens.
Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah, and almost it's like a badge of honor to be busy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know what I mean?
It's if you're not busy, you're not important.
Exactly, and it's no wonder we're all so lonely. We're setting ourselves up for it.
It's like a recipe for loneliness.
Yeah, and the book really gets into this tension, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to just say, oh, we need connection. We need to also look at, okay, what are the things that are preventing us from actually getting it?
Exactly.
And then figuring out ways to work around that.
Right. So it's not just about understanding we need it. It's how do we actually navigate this modern world?
Yeah. How do we make it happen?
And get that connection.
Yeah.
So one of the things they talk about is these cognitive biases and how they can really mess with our social perception. These are the sneaky little mental shortcuts that can totally trip us up.
Totally. And they talk about the spotlight effect, which I think is something that we all experience.
The spotlight effect. Okay, tell me more about that.
So basically, it's this idea that we overestimate how much other people are noticing our flaws or our mistakes.
Nice.
It's we think we're under this giant spotlight, but in reality, everybody else is so busy thinking about themselves.
I am so guilty of this.
Yeah.
I will literally replay a conversation in my head 50 times.
Right.
Over some stupid thing I said. And I'm oh my God, they probably think I'm an idiot. But
nobody noticed.
Right.
They were thinking about what they were going to say next, what they had to do later.
Right.
We're way more focused on ourselves.
That is so true. Okay, that makes me feel so much better.
Yeah, right.
So it's we're giving ourselves permission to just chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
And not be so hard on ourselves.
And then there's another bias they talk about called the negativity bias.
Okay, the negativity bias. What's that one?
And this one is basically the tendency to dwell on negative interactions more than positive ones.
Ugh, it's so true, though.
I know.
You remember that one awkward thing you said?
Yes.
But you forget all the good conversations you had?
Exactly. It's like Velcro for the bad experiences and Teflon for the good.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Such a good analogy.
I know, right?
And you know what's even crazier? They talk about how loneliness itself can actually amplify these biases.
It's true.
It's like this vicious cycle where you start expecting those social threats.
Right.
And then you see them everywhere, even if they're not really there.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Well, okay, so we've talked about the importance of connection and some of these barriers we face, but let's get to the good stuff.
Yes, let's talk solutions.
The solutions, what are some of the things that they suggest for like overcoming these like miscalibrated expectations and actually connecting with people?
Well, one of the most surprising things, and something that I think gave me a lot of hope,
Okay.
was this concept called the liking gap.
The liking gap.
Have you heard of this?
No, tell me everything.
So basically, we consistently underestimate how much other people actually enjoy interacting with us.
Wait, so you're telling me people might actually like talking to me more than I think they do?
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
Isn't that crazy?
How do we like break out of that negative thought pattern?
Yeah. So they talk about challenging that negative self-talk of
Sure.
like after conversations, because you're going to have those moments where you're like, oh, I said the wrong thing.
Right,
But really remember, nobody probably even noticed.
right. It's like giving ourselves permission to let go of that pressure.
Exactly. And another powerful strategy they highlight is the power of expressing gratitude and giving compliments.
Okay, so it's not just about what we're receiving. It's about what we're putting out there.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not about being fake or over the top,
Right.
but it's about just genuinely acknowledging the good in others.
Okay. I struggle with this sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I always feel like I don't want to sound like I'm trying too hard or like I'm being insincere.
I think you just have to like really mean it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you actually feel it
Yeah.
and you say it, I think it will come across.
Okay, so how does expressing gratitude actually help us connect?
So it turns out that expressing gratitude and giving compliments has a bigger positive impact than we realize.
Oh, really?
Like, not only does it make the other person feel good,
Right.
which strengthens the bond between you, but it also benefits you as the giver.
Oh.
You know, it shifts your focus to the positive,
Yeah.
and it helps you to appreciate the good things in your life and the people around you.
It's like a win-win
It is a win-win.
for everyone involved. And it makes me think about how we can apply this not just with new people, but in our existing relationships too.
Oh, totally. And the book actually goes on to explore all sorts of strategies for building both casual and deeper connections.
Okay, so how do we actually put this into practice?
Yeah.
Like, give us the goods. What are some of the steps we can take to actually build these connections?
Okay, so they have a whole section on what they call simple yet powerful strategies. It's all about making these small, consistent efforts that can lead to big changes over time.
I'm all about those small steps that lead to big results.
Me too. So, one of the key things they emphasize is the importance of proximity.
Proximity, like just being around people.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about putting yourself in places where you're likely to encounter familiar faces.
Okay.
Think your local coffee shop, the gym, the park, community events,
Right.
places where you might bump into people regularly and potentially strike up a conversation.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like increasing our chances of those serendipitous encounters.
Exactly.
But what about when we are in those situations?
Yeah.
What are some things we can do to actually spark a connection?
Well, something as simple as smiling and laughing can make a huge difference.
Smiling and laughing.
Yeah. No, it sounds so basic.
It does.
Right. But it's like expressing positivity, even if you're not feeling it at first, can actually create an upward spiral. Good feelings and connection.
Okay.
It's contagious.
So by putting a smile on our face, we're not just making ourselves feel better. We're actually like creating a more welcoming environment for those around us.
It's like sending out a signal that
Yeah.
says, hey, I'm open to connection.
I love that. Such a simple reminder.
It is.
But okay, so let's say we've mastered the art of the smile.
Okay.
What's the next step? How do we actually take those casual encounters to the next level
Yeah.
and build more meaningful connections?
One of the most effective ways to do that is by showing genuine interest in the other person,
Okay.
asking thoughtful questions, actively listening to their responses, and treating every conversation as an opportunity to learn something new.
I love that it's like shifting our focus from ourselves
Exactly.
to the other person
Yeah.
and really being present in that moment.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it feels like conversations just kind of fizzle out.
Right.
How can we keep them going in a way that feels natural and engaging?
That's a great question. And the book actually offers some really helpful tips for navigating those conversational lulls
Okay.
and deepening those connections.
Tell me more.
One of the key things they emphasize is the power of self-disclosure.
Self-disclosure.
Yeah.
You mean like sharing personal things about ourselves?
Exactly.
Okay. That sounds a little scary.
It can be, for sure,
Mhm.
but they make a really compelling case for why vulnerability is actually the key to building deeper connections.
Okay.
They talk about how it creates a sense of trust and intimacy.
I could see that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us, myself included, have this fear of being judged
Oh, yeah.
or rejected
Mm-hmm.
if we open up too much.
For sure.
How do we overcome that?
So they actually address that directly in the book.
Okay.
And they talk about this fascinating concept called the beautiful mess effect.
The beautifulness effect.
Yeah, so basically we tend to see vulnerability as a strength in others, but as a weakness in ourselves.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
This is like we admire other people for being open and authentic,
Right.
but then we hold ourselves back
Exactly.
from doing the same thing.
And they challenge us to reframe our thinking about vulnerability.
Okay.
To see it as a gift we can offer to others,
I like that.
a way of inviting them into a deeper connection.
So instead of seeing it as something to hide, it's actually like a bridge
Exactly.
to intimacy.
Yeah,
Okay. That's a really powerful shift
it is.
in perspective.
Yeah.
So let's say we're ready to take the plunge and start sharing more of ourselves.
Yeah,
How do we do that in a way that feels safe and authentic?
that's a great question. And they recommend starting gradually and being mindful of who you're opening up to.
Okay.
It's not about spilling your deepest, darkest secrets to every stranger you meet,
Right.
but it's about finding those trusted people in your life and slowly revealing more of yourself over time.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like
Okay.
building
It's-
trust and intimacy layer by layer.
Yeah.
But sometimes, even with close friends, it feels like we're stuck in the same old conversational patterns.
Oh, for sure.
How do we break out of those routines and inject some fresh energy?
Well, that's where those fast friends questions come in.
The ones that are designed to foster closeness quickly?
Exactly.
Okay, I thought those were just for meeting new people.
Yeah, that's what's so cool is that they encourage us to adapt them
Oh,
for our existing relationships, too.
okay.
It's about finding ways to go beyond the surface level
Right.
and uncover those hidden layers in ourselves and others.
That's brilliant.
I know, right?
It's like giving our relationships a little booster shot of intimacy.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, beyond questions,
Yeah.
what else can we do to kind of shake things up and
Yeah.
deepen those connections?
Well, they suggest engaging in novel and exciting activities together.
Ooh, like what?
Things that push you both out of your comfort zones and create these shared memories.
Okay.
So it could be anything from trying a new restaurant, taking a cooking class, going on a weekend adventure,
Right.
even just exploring a new part of your city together.
I love that.
It's about injecting some playfulness and spontaneity
Yeah.
into our relationships.
And I bet those shared experiences create some pretty amazing stories.
Absolutely. And speaking of stories, one of the most compelling concepts they introduce is the power of responsiveness.
Responsiveness, what does that mean?
So it's all about showing up for people in a way that makes them feel truly seen and understood. It's
Right.
about celebrating their successes, offering support during tough times, and really validating their feelings and experiences.
Okay, I'm starting to get it, but can you give me an example?
Sure. So think back to that example we were talking about earlier,
Okay.
like sharing good news with a friend.
Right.
They call this capitalization.
Capitalization.
Yeah, and it's not just about sharing the news.
Right.
It's about how the other person responds to it.
Oh, right. So if I tell my friend I aced a presentation
Yeah.
and they're super excited for me asking questions,
Yes.
genuinely celebrating my win.
That's active, constructive responding. And it makes you feel even better, and it strengthens your bond.
Right. But if they just kind of shrug it off,
Yeah.
or worse, try to one-up me
Oh, yeah.
with their own accomplishment.
That's a passive or destructive response.
Right.
And that can really dampen the mood.
Totally. And even make me question the relationship.
Exactly. So it makes you realize how important it is to be mindful of how we respond to the people in our lives,
Right.
both in good times and bad.
That's so true. But I have to admit, sometimes it's hard to know what to say
Yeah,
or do when someone's going through a tough time.
for sure.
Any advice from the book on how to be a more supportive friend?
So they emphasize that offering support doesn't require having all the answers, saying the perfect thing.
Right.
It's often about simply being present, listening with empathy, and letting the person know you care.
Okay.
And they actually share this beautiful quote from a therapist who works with grieving families. And she says, the purpose of sitting with someone in their pain isn't to cheer them up or fix the problem, but to acknowledge the reality of the situation, to hear respect and love the person,
Right.
and to show that you haven't given up on them, that you haven't walked away.
Wow, that's so powerful.
Oh, right?
Sometimes just knowing someone is there for you without judgment or the need to fix things can make all of the difference.
Totally.
It highlights that just showing up for people is huge,
Yeah,
especially when they need it most.
especially when they need it most. But they also remind us that it's not just about focusing outwards. It's also about connecting with ourselves.
Okay, so it's not selfish to prioritize our own well-being.
No, not at all. In fact, the last chapter of the book is all about creating a sense of connection on demand,
A connection on demand.
even when we're physically alone.
That sounds intriguing.
Right.
Like a superpower we can tap into whenever we need it.
Exactly.
But how do we actually do that?
So they offer a range of practices,
Yeah.
from spending quality time in solitude, engaging in self-reflection, and connecting with nature to recharge our social batteries.
So it's like recognizing that solitude isn't the enemy of connection.
It's essential. It's like an ingredient
Yeah.
for a healthy social life.
Totally. It allows us to kind of reconnect with ourselves, process our emotions, and gain clarity on what really matters.
Exactly. And they also emphasize the importance of self-compassion.
Self-compassion is something I think a lot of us struggle with.
Yeah.
We're so quick to judge ourselves
Oh, yeah.
and focus on our shortcomings.
Totally. But how do we actually practice self-compassion?
Right. It sounds so abstract.
So they have some great tips. One is to simply notice how you talk to yourself,
Okay.
especially during those moments of self-criticism or doubt.
Yeah,
Like, would you speak to a friend that way?
probably not.
Right.
I'd be way more understanding and forgiving with a friend than I am with myself.
Exactly. So they suggest trying to imagine what a loving and supportive friend would say to you in those moments,
Oh, I like that.
or even writing yourself a letter of encouragement.
It's like extending that same kindness and compassion we offer to others inward to ourselves.
Yeah, it reminds me of something else they talk about, loving kindness meditation,
Oh, yeah. Loving kindness meditation.
which is another powerful practice for cultivating a sense of warmth and compassion towards ourselves and others.
And how do we actually do that?
So they suggest starting by picturing someone you love
Okay.
and silently repeating phrases like, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease, and may you be free from suffering.
Okay.
And then you can extend those wishes to yourself, to acquaintances, to strangers, and even to those you find difficult.
Wow. Extending compassion to those we find difficult. That's next level stuff.
It is, but I can see how practicing this kind of loving kindness could help us feel more connected,
Yeah.
even when we're physically alone.
Totally. And it's not just about the mental and emotional benefits. They even delve into the physiological aspects of connection.
Yeah.
Talk about the role of the vagus nerve. And practices like deep breathing yoga, even humming, can stimulate the vagus nerve and enhance feelings of calmness, connection, and well-being.
That's so cool.
So it's like we have this built-in system for connection
Yeah.
that we can tap into through these simple practices.
It's amazing what our bodies can do.
That's pretty amazing. But with all this talk of deep breathing and humming,
Yeah.
I'm wondering, how do we actually apply all this knowledge to our daily lives?
Right. Like, how do we make it stick?
It's one thing to understand these concepts, but it's another to actually put them into practice.
Exactly. And that's where they emphasize starting small and building from there.
Okay.
Like, identify one or two practices that resonate with you and make a conscious effort to incorporate them into your daily routine.
Okay, so it's not about trying to overhaul our entire lives overnight.
No.
It's about recognizing that small, consistent efforts can lead to big shifts over time.
And remembering that it's a journey,
Right.
not a destination.
We're going to have challenges, but the key is to just keep coming back
Keep coming back.
to these practices.
Yeah. And remembering why it matters.
It sounds like one of the key takeaways is that we have more control over our social lives than we think.
Way more.
It's not about some grand sweeping overhaul.
Right?
It's about those small choices we make each day that can move us closer to the connections we crave.
Love that. And they end the book with this powerful challenge.
Okay.
Ask yourself, if I could change one thing about my social life today, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
And then what small step could I take right now to move in that direction?
I love that it's about empowering ourselves to take action,
Yes.
even if it's just a tiny step, because those tiny steps can lead to big changes.
Absolutely. And for those who want to dive deeper into these ideas and explore the research-backed strategies in more detail, I highly recommend picking up a copy of Our New Social Life.
Yes, it's a must-read for sure.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of Book Decoded.